Hey guys, it's Bruce. Welcome to ConvoCourses podcast. And today we're going to be focusing in on the GRC roadmap. Once again, as promised, we're going to walk through this entire thing. And right now we're on the detect function. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes to let people join in, make sure all the connections are good. So let's see, making sure, okay, TikTok good. All right. I will be taking questions at the end. I'm going to talk for about 20 minutes. And then I will take questions, any kind of questions that you guys have about getting in this industry, cybersecurity, any kind of news, anything you want to talk about is up for grabs after 20 minutes when I speak after the lesson. And just to introduce myself, my name is Bruce. I've been doing cybersecurity, GRC, all aspects of cybersecurity and IT for the since 2000, since the year 2000, which is crazy to even say. But I've decided many years ago to just go on here and talk about what I know, which is governance, risk, and compliance, and in all its forms. And it's something that I wish somebody would have done for me, which is speak from the perspective of somebody who's in the field, because that's, for me personally, that's where I get my best knowledge from. Whenever I'm trying to get in the cloud right now, for example, and I'll go out and seek people who are really doing this in this field. And like I'll go to Professor Black Ops, for example, who teaches AWS in the field. He does AWS and he's a cybersecurity professional. So for me, there's great value in that. So I thought, what better way for me to teach people than to tell people about what I do. There's tons of free resources, right? If you're new to all this, you can get free resources on PCI DSS, on CIS V8. You can go to FISMA, the FISMA laws out there for free. You don't have to pay anybody to get that. You can go to NIST 800 risk management framework. You can go NIST CSF, stuff I'm about to teach you now. But what you can't get is somebody's perspective, how they really do it. What challenges do they have? What gotchas did they avoid? That's something that's much harder to get. And you can only get that from somebody who's in the field. Now, I have been doing private and public sector since 2000, year 2000. So I'm telling you guys, from my perspective, this is how you do NIST cybersecurity framework 2.0. I'm literally using it right now in the job I have right now. We do use it. And in my previous job, I did the same thing. All right, so it's about 12 o'clock, so we're going to get started here. Everything is working fine here, so we're going to go ahead and switch screens for those watching on Facebook and YouTube. You can watch me. If you happen to be listening to me, you can still find a live presentation of this where there's video. If you go to my YouTube at ConvoCourses or Facebook at ConvoCourses, and I also release bits of this on TikTok as well. So let's get into this. So we already talked about what is governance, risk, and compliance. What is NIST CSF from a broad perspective? We talked about the protect function, the identify function, and we talked about the govern function. And all of that wraps into GRC, governance, risk management, and compliance. So another aspect of this that's very important is the detect function. And this is part of the NIST CSF. So it's one of the primary core functions of the NIST CSF is the detect function. So what does that mean? What does detect mean? What do we mean when you say that? So detect function is where we are looking at our system and we're looking for anomalies, security incidents. We're looking for things, odd behavior, not just hacks or malicious software in our organization, but we're continuously monitoring our system to make sure that if anything is wrong, we can respond to it. But detect function is where we stay vigilant. So let's get into this. And I like this little image here. It's a meme where it has a security professional who's pointing a hose directly at its mouth and spraying it, and it says, "Let's check the logs." Because that's a lot of times that's how it feels, is that there's too much information, and you're having to sort through all of that, and it can feel overwhelming at times. And that's what this meme means to me. All right. So what do let's just get into this. So core elements of detect. What is it in a nutshell? Like overall, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about what's called continuous monitoring. You'll hear that over and over again in cybersecurity, continuous monitoring or monitoring. What does it mean? That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about adverse event analysis. Those are the two main things that are a part of the detect function. So the DE.CE, the DE.CM, and the DE.AE are what's called categories. And those categories of the NIST CSF break up into subcategories. And what we'll do is we'll address what's the category, and then we'll break it down into its finer points, which are the subcategories of this. That's what we're going to talk about. We're going to keep it quick. We're going to keep it short. We're going to get straight to the point. And all of this is to promote a bigger thing I'm doing, which is GRC, RoadMap, NIST CSF, where I'm going to be breaking this down in great detail, and we're going to go through some of this stuff together. There's a workbook that goes through it, but all that stuff is coming. So just keep in mind, just keep that in the back of your mind. Also, if you're into it, if you want to, you can also get a free copy. Well, actually, it's 99 cents now, so it's gone up 100%. It was free, but now it's 99 cents. So if you still want to get the book and give me a review on Amazon, it helps me out. That's why I make it cheap. It's not because it's poorly done or anything. It took me a while to write it. So you can go to Amazon right now and look for that. It's called GRC Roadmap. Go ahead and check it out. Buy it for 99 cents. Give me a review, a kind review, if you don't mind, or honest review, whatever. It's fine with me. Your interaction is what's most important. That's the greatest currency I can get. Okay, so here we go. So updates in the NIST CSF. So this is one of the parts of the NIST CSF that has changed recently. When they went from NIST CSF 1.0 to 2.0, one of the things that they drastically changed was the restructuring of DE. DE used to have more categories to it. We won't get into that here. We also won't get into continuous monitoring too much. This is something I cover more in the course, but all you need to know right now is in the early 2000s, there was monitoring, but wasn't to the extent of this. Early 2000s, they started having more tools in place to do what's called continuous monitoring, where you're always watching in real time what's going on with logs and stuff. The tools just got better and more affordable for everyone to get a hold of and to cater to the needs of whatever organization that they have. So it got modernized. So that's what we're talking about in these first couple slides here. So let's just get right into DECM. So this is network monitoring. Did I miss something? Oh, okay. Yeah, going back here. So this is addressing CM, DE.CM, continuous monitoring, and it covers automating your process, having a wide coverage, and then doing real-time alerts with things like a SIEM or a security information event manager. So DECM 01 is network monitoring. Network monitoring is something I did professionally for about a couple years, where I was actually a SIEM engineer. I did something called ArcSight. You guys probably never heard of it before, but it used to kick Splunk's ass back in the day. But now, not so much. Now, most people are using Splunk or some other variant, and now you have AI, which makes it even easier to do network monitoring, and it's being integrated more and more into this process to make it more effective. But network monitoring is a service where we're looking at the entire network for anomalies that might give us an indication of, say, a security incident. It's not always a security. To be honest with you, 90% of the stuff you'll see as a cybersecurity analyst or as a SOC analyst, you're looking at network logs. You're looking at you're helping to monitor the network. There's also a branch of cybersecurity in networking where they have to monitor the network to look at the health of the network. So not necessarily security events or security incidents or something. They're looking for the health of the network to see if there's anomalies that way. Like if there's a sudden influx, a huge influx of logs, they might they might know that the QoS of the quality of service for bandwidth on their Cisco network is not how it's supposed to be configured or something like that. So there's an aspect of network monitoring where they're looking at the health of the network itself. But in this case, we're talking about the security. So we're monitoring, looking at the patterns of the network traffic, and we're looking at deviate. We're looking for alerts. So you'll set a system up to automatically send you alerts that you will look at it deeper. So that's network monitoring. That's something that every organization should have, and you'll see that most modern, medium, and large size networks have this. Another part of CM of DE detect is DE.CM2, which is physical environmental monitoring. And this is just what it sounds like. We're monitoring anybody coming in and out of our facility, especially if it happens to be a protected area or a restricted area where we have our main data, our protected data, racks of servers or whatever we have. We want to monitor anybody who is entering that area or even entering your building in some cases. So that's CM02. Very, very important physical security, and you'll see it throughout most of the frameworks and standards where physical security is put right there up front. Another thing is personnel activity monitoring. This is DECM03. And we're tracking the activities of all the personnel on our network. We're looking for insider threats. We're looking for people maybe extracting data and then emailing themselves with their Gmail account. Like they download something that's sensitive information, put it in their Gmail account, and then mail it to themselves or mail it to somebody else. So you probably need to have something in place or some restrictions for data loss prevention, or making sure that people are not, what's the word? I'm looking for a certain word. Extracting data from your network and putting it out in the somewhere else that it's not supposed to be. So we're looking at behaviors and looking at access logs. So going to the next thing, we have a bunch of tools here that are used for external service providers, but this is DECM6, and this is where we might use an external service provider for monitoring. A lot of organizations do that these days, where they rely on other organizations to do cyber threat intelligence, where they're looking at the deep web or whatever, or maybe they have a networking service, another organization that's watching all the logs, because they're focusing on their mission or their business, and they don't have the time or resources or skill set to do that. So they'll reach out to Mandiant, they'll reach out to some other organizations to help them to do this. So what do? You're tracking the administrative access. You're looking at configuration changes, unusual patterns, and organizations will rely on a third-party service for monitoring and providing activities beyond, because those are essential things to do. So that's another aspect of NIST cybersecurity framework, where not every organization uses every single part of this framework. So that's one thing I want to point out, is that your organization might not have external service providers. You might not need this particular thing. And you'll find that throughout NIST CSF, that there's some things that the organization doesn't necessarily do because they don't really need to do that particular thing. All right, let's keep going here. And we're just going to speed run through these. We're not going to cover everything. I just want to give you an idea, an understanding, an overview of the detect function of the NIST CSF, Cybersecurity Framework 2.0. DE.CM09. So this is the computing environment monitoring. So this is where, just like it sounds, we're monitoring the computing environment. Something really easier to do in the cloud, like if you have AWS or if you have Azure or something like that. They have built-in tools that do this kind of thing, to do all the monitoring and stuff. So they have really, really awesome tools to do this. And I believe that Professor Black Ops covered this in one of his trainings. You guys want to check them out. So what are we doing here? We're monitoring monitoring the computing environment and helping to identify malware, unauthorized software, misconfigurations, things like that. And that is, in a nutshell, CM9, or computing environment monitoring. Now let's get into some of the core components of continuous monitoring, where we're looking at data collection, real-time analysis, automated alerts, and dashboard visualizations. This is something that SIEMs do very well. Security information event managers do this very well. So you got things like Sentinel, you got ArcSight, you got Splunk, you've got a whole bunch of tools and a whole bunch of vendors who supply this type of thing. Elastic is one that does it. Help me out here, guys. Tenable has some tools in there. There's a whole bunch of tools. Logarithm, IBM has their own tool. All kinds of tools that help with visualization, collecting data in a near real-time fashion, and offer some kind of built-in analytics that help out the actual SOC analyst. And a lot of this, the reason why I keep mentioning SOC analysts, because they're the ones who do a lot of the detect function. You as a GRC person, your exposure to this could be that you're a SOC analyst, because SOC analysts would be, in some cases, are part of the risk management portion of the organization. So a lot of times in my job, just looking through my entire career doing any kind of GRC work, my exposure to, outside of being an actual SOC analyst, which I was, but in GRC type positions, I can tell you the detect function was me working with CTI, or cyber threat intelligence people. There was a whole nother group of people. They do that. That was their whole job. I would work with vulnerability analyst or vulnerability management. So there would be a whole different team of people, or one subject matter expert who we would work with to figure out, to get the numbers to management. So we'd be a part of some of those meetings where they were talking about, here's the vulnerabilities we discovered, or here's some incidents we discovered. So a lot of times you'll be a part of those discussions. You do need to know a little bit. You don't have to know how to set up Splunk. You don't have to be able to engineer and set up a Splunk instance, or set up a SIEM or something like that. You don't need to know how to do network traffic analysis necessarily in most GRC positions that I've been in. You do need to know the basics of information technology, the basics of networking, the basics of computing, basics of cloud. You do need to know those things, because when you're in the meeting, you have to understand those things. Now, it really depends on the job. There are very technical GRC positions, very, very technical GRC, where you are setting up the content that goes on Splunk or whatever. There are GRC positions like that. But I'm just telling you from my experience as a purely GRC positions that I've worked, typically there's subject matter experts there, and you need to be able to talk to them. You need to be able to communicate with them. And that means that you're going to have to do your homework to know information technology well. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you need to be a subject matter expert on it for a GRC position. It really depends on what position you get. I'm just telling you from what I've seen since 2000, maybe all of this stuff, the trends will change or whatever. But from working in the public sector, the private sector, and all of this as a GRC person, I haven't had to be a SOC analyst. I didn't have to know SANS 503.2 or be a forensics guy. All right. That there was another team that would assist us in that. And I would be a part of some of their meetings and things like that. My main job as a GRC person, and your main job, is going to be able to articulate and explain and speak the language of your peers, other cybersecurity people, of the subject matter experts who are working the firewall, working the servers, server administrators, working cloud, working in forensics, doing SOC analysts. You need to be able to speak to them as well as C-level execs. That is what you're going to need to do. And that's why I say you will have to be be able to speak the language, which means you need to have a solid understanding of IT fundamentals and best security practices, right? And so I'm not going to sit here and lie to you that you don't need to have to know anything about anything with GRC, because you do. The thing is, you don't have to be in the weeds. You're not implementing it. You're not necessarily configuring it usually, but it depends on the job. Okay, let's keep going here. Where are we? So we're on benefits of continuous monitoring, enhanced security posture. So if we are continuously monitoring, we can always get our security posture better and better. Security posture is a fancy word for what is our security status. Where are we at? What kind of vulnerabilities do we have? Are we getting better? What are our known vulnerabilities, and where can we fix? Where are we at from a cybersecurity perspective? We're going to be more aware of threat detection. Because we're proactive with it. So we're going out there and actively looking for threats rather than waiting for those threats to hit us. Another benefit of continuous monitoring is being compliance. We're aware of what compliance we need to hit and what we're missing, what's our gaps, and then going forward with it. All right, we'll go through these. I want to get over to DECM. All right, so here's one thing before we go forward here is key practices of DECM is, if you want to link the NIST CSF to other frameworks, we've got the NIST Special Publication 853 SI4 is an example of where you can map those two frameworks together. And SI4 provides comprehensive guidance, guidelines for systems monitoring. And then you've got CCM4, which emphasizes continuous monitoring and detection and detecting potential risks. So one of the coolest things about NIST CSF cybersecurity framework is that it is really good at mapping from one framework and standard to another. You can map it to PCI DSS, NIST 800 Risk Management Framework, CCM, which is cloud. All right, I don't remember the acronym for it, but CCM is a cloud compliance matrix. It's a cloud-based framework, but it can map across all Sarbanes-Oxley, you name it. It can map to all of these different things, and that's one of the most awesome things about NIST CSF. If you can understand NIST CSF, it'll make everything else clearer. Okay, so let's keep going here. I'm going to briefly talk about this last one. I'm not going to stay too long on this, but we're talking about analyzing anomalies. The first step in incident response is we've got to detect where the anomalies are and be able to figure out. We need to be able to delineate what is abnormal from what is our normal patterns of behavior on our network. And so the approach is, we first of all have to detect. We have continuous monitoring, meaning having something in place that will pull in all the logs from all these different places. There's not every tool that can do this. We need a specialized tool that can pull all this stuff in. Contextualizing, meaning we need to understand anomalies within the broader network activity. And the only way to do that is to know what our normal baseline for our network activity is. What are we supposed to see? What do we have that are known false positives across our network as we're seeing the logs come through? And what does it look like? And then when there's a spike, we can then say, okay, this is not normal. So that's what they mean by contextualizing, to understand anomalies within the broader network activities. Okay, so prioritization. Once we see those anomalies, we need to be able to prioritize, because there's too much stuff going on. Even as a cybersecurity, just not even doing SOC analyst stuff, we have so many things going on at once. Our only hope is prioritize. We have to take the top thing that's going to impact us the most and focus on that and triage that thing and go on to the next thing. We have to take, it's like a triage in a hospital. When you have an emergency room, they take the dude who's closest to on the deathbed, and then they take care of that person first and then work their way down. And that's the same mentality we have to have for prioritization. We have to investigate it further. Sometimes it may not be what you think it is. You go deeper on that particular prioritization, and if you find out it was, okay, it's a false positive, it's not necessarily what we thought it was, okay, move on. And then once we do confirm an anomaly, something weird, a security incident, we have to validate that it is, in fact, a genuine security incident. So that's what that last step is. Those are all the steps that you will take in DE.AE. So some of the tools that you'll use, I already mentioned it before, SIEM, automatic detection systems, machine learning has become pretty new here. And then some of the challenges of anomalies. False positives is a big one, is a huge one. Resource intensive. So when you're pulling logs from everywhere, you really got to be careful because you can't look at every single thing. You've got to kind of limit it. And evolving threats. And that's where we're going to stop here. And I'm going to take some questions. We've been talking for about 20 minutes. There's much more here. We're going to go way deeper into this once we do the actual course. But I'm just kind of giving you guys a taste. And actually, that's enough to make you dangerous right there. If you want to know more about this, free resources are going to be at go to NIST.gov. You'll find the new NIST CSF there. They've got an awesome book and awesome resources for you. They also have awesome resources for the NIST 800 special publications. They have all those there. And also PCI DSS, CIS V8. All those are great resources that go way deeper into things like analysis and detection. All right, let me see what we got here. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate everyone here. I'm going to start off with TikTok here. I see you guys. If you have any questions whatsoever, we're going to take some time to talk, to conversate. Okay, my first question is from Alex, and he says, you prefer GRC or SOC as a beginner in cybersecurity? It really depends. You got to pick your poison, Alex, because it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're very technical and that's the route you want to go, then I would say SOC analyst. If you are coming from, you'd be surprised. Like sometimes people are technical, but they like the technical piece, but their profession serves another part of GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. Like for example, if you are a project manager and you had 8 years project manager, 10 years project, whatever it is, right? You're going to make more money if you stick with that part of GRC, learn a little bit of cybersecurity, learn a little bit of IT. You don't have to go super in the weeds, but like know the lingo, know the difference between a public and private IP and IPv6 and IPv4 and stuff like. You got to go a little bit deep, but know the different clouds and all that kind of stuff. But you might be better served if you stick with GRC, even if you like the technical stuff. You got to think of it practically. You might make way more. You might make 3 times, I'm not even exaggerating. You might make 3 times more money if you're coming from a project manager, as an example. If you're coming from that perspective, coming in, or if you, let's say you worked at a healthcare place, right, and you were a nurse practitioner for 3 years, or you were a CNA for 3 years, you know HIPAA, right? And then the hospital wants a HIPAA person. They don't really need a super technical person. They already have a router guy. They already have a network person, whatever, right? They don't really need a SOC analyst. They got that. They farm that out to a whole nother organization. But you coming from a HIPAA background, you would be better served to just know basic IT, basic best security practices, know the lingo, and then be their HIPAA GRC professional. And then they will pay you way more than a SOC analyst. So it depends. For me personally, having done this, I would say if you were kind of in between the two and you had a choice, I would say SOC analyst would be a better start, because it really depends. Like if you were coming from, if you were a project manager, it'd be bit different story. But if they were kind of equal, the reason why I say SOC analyst, because SOC analyst is going to give you a really, really solid technical foundation. And it's going to give you a huge exposure across the board. I've noticed like some non-technical, I'm not talking crap about my fellow GRC people, but if you don't have a technical background, if you haven't really touched systems, it's going to be harder for you. I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's just going to be harder. Like you're sitting in these meetings and they're talking about some crap you don't know, you've never even heard of it, and they're yakking away, and you don't know how to keep up with them. You don't know the lingo. You don't know what they're talking about. You don't know where to look. You don't know where the sources are. It's just going to be harder for you. So I would say if you had to choose, and if you had a balance between the two, then SOC analyst would be a better beginner for cybersecurity. It's going to make you way more well-rounded. You're going to have exposure to forensics, network forensics, incident handling, a little bit in GRC. You're going to have to be hands-on. You have to know what packets look like. You might have to mess around with engineering and configuration of some of the security tools. It's just going to give you a real solid understanding of cybersecurity in general, and it's going to make you way more deadly. So yeah, I would say that. All right, going to YouTube here. Hey Larry, how you doing? He says, hey everyone. Hey Bruce, I got my book last week, enjoying the CSF series. Thank you for your support, Larry. I appreciate you, man. Still got something for you. Professor Black Ops in the house. He says ConMon, continuous monitoring. Yeah, that's what they call it in the Fed space. How you guys doing? Okay, got some more highs. Rookie, how you doing? Appreciate you guys joining. Thank you for your support, continuous support throughout the years. Huge shout out. Okay, Larry says, we have implemented continuous monitoring work as part of the supply chain threat detection program. The focus is heavily based on monitoring results of threat detection and reporting any anomalies. Yeah, so just to give you an idea of what a real world experience I've had with threat detection. Number one, I was a SOC analyst. So we had exposure to IPSs, incident protection systems. We had incident detection systems. We had a SIEM. We had all kinds of tools that we would use to monitor the traffic as it came through, and we were part of the incident response process. But as a GRC person, like I said, normally we would work with a team. There would be a whole nother team that did incident response, and there would be a whole nother SOC team that would do that, and we would just interact with them. If there was an incident, they might contact us and want to get more information. And every place I've gone to, it's been like that. Looking back at my days in Verizon, in the private sector, I would work with different cyber threat intelligence teams. We did cyber threat intelligence for customers, but we also would work sometimes with the pen test team of a certain client, or we would work with the SOC analyst lead of a certain client or something like that. And so that would, for a GRC positions where there was in governance, where I'm doing information system security officer work, or I was doing the risk management side where I was a cyber risk consultant, or in the compliance portion where I was giving consultation for people who wanted to do NIST 800 or wanted to implement a certain policy for their organization. There was usually another team that was focused on the detection piece, but we were part of it because whenever there were changes that happened, or if there was an incident, they would have to reach out to us and coordinate with different parts of other teams. So, yeah, so that's the extent of a GRC person's exposure. And there's normally another subject matter expert or team that you would work with. Or, sometimes they'll give us access to tools. Like right now where I'm working, we have access to tools where we're helping like it. I mean, as having been in SOC analyst work, we're doing like 1% of what they do. Like they give us limited access to a certain tool, and then to a SIEM device. And then we kind of looking through it to see if there's anomalies. And if we see anything, we'll report it to them. But, some people might be impressed by that, but as having worked at, I know it's way more work than what they're showing us, that you're supposed to do with it. Okay, let me see more questions here. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, you have not only myself as a subject matter expert having done SIEM systems and GRC stuff for many years, but you have other people on this live who can also give you help. We're attracting people who are talents and who are skilled professionals in this field. If you ever ask a question, other people will chime in and give you some information. I'm telling you. So this is a great time to ask your question if you're interested at all in this field. All right, let me see here. I've got more questions on TikTok. I'm scrolling through your questions, so just give me a minute here. Next one. Okay, SOC analyst. We already answered that one. Somebody said, okay, this is a common question I get. They said, will college provide you with that information? I'm assuming you mean with the stuff I'm giving you here. You can get information not from college. You can get it from anywhere. You can get it right now off YouTube. You know, the special thing here is I'm in this space right now, and I can tell you exactly what to do. I can tell you the gotchas, what to avoid, what's a waste of your time, where to focus your energy. That is what I bring to you, my experience. So, will college give you that information? I'm assuming I'm trying to fill in what you mean by this in the context of what you mean. Let me see if there's anything else you said with this. I will say this while I'm looking for the rest of the context of this question. I will say that if you happen to go to college or you're in college, use it to your advantage, because right now you have an awesome opportunity to network with other people, with your not just your peers who are going to get those jobs, but with the faculty of that place. But also, a lot of times they'll have internships, apprenticeships, and they'll have projects you can work on right now. Don't wait until you get your piece of paper. Do the work right now. Any kind of IT experience you can get as a college student, do it now, because that's what they really want. When you get out there in the field, whether you have a bachelor's, master's, associate's, whatever, what they're really looking for is experience. They want somebody who can hit the ground running. You can get there, but you got to start right now. Like getting your hands dirty. Install a SIEM on your system. Help your school to manage the laptops on the district or something. Like, do some work right now. Start right now where you are. Do you do interview prep? I've got an interview prep video. Look, if you're on YouTube, go to YouTube. I've got this really good interview prep for risk management framework specifically. This is something I can do. If you join my group, this is something I would like to offer to people if I get enough people asking for it. Like I did before, I got a whole bunch of people asking for it, and that's what I started doing. I started actually doing, I would interview you. Like, I'm your boss. You're trying to get hired with me, and I'm going to ask you hard questions, and then I'm going to evaluate how you respond, and then we record it, and then you have the recording so you can watch yourself back. And I'm asking you some challenging questions based on whatever job you're about to get. And this is based off of my experience doing interviews and being interviewed. So, yes, I could totally do that if I get enough people asking for that. You know, right now I don't have a lot. It was a time when a ton of people asked me, so I was like, okay, I'll do it. Orion asked, hello, it's nice to meet you here. Okay, let me see what else we got. Nice to see you. Nice to join you. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Do you have anything on CMMC? What are your thoughts on it emerging? I don't have anything right now on CMMC, just being honest with you. Right now, what I have right now, as far as sample documentation and downloadables, free stuff, paid courses, all kinds of stuff, is on NIST 800. That's the GRC for the government. And I've got now releasing a whole bunch of stuff on the NIST CSF. So right now I've got a couple books on it. I've got a course I'm developing right now, a program that I'm gonna put together. All of that is NIST. What you're seeing now is NIST CSF. And I guess, you know, like I said, it really depends on the market. Like, what people ask for is what I'm delivering. CMMC. I've got a couple people asking me questions about it. And what I would do probably if I did something like this is I would pull in a CMMC expert and I would have them make something with me. So if you happen to be, this is a great time for me to, an opportunity for me to ask. If you happen to be a CMMC expert, or NIST 800-171, get in contact with me. Maybe we can do something together. We can do a course. We can do a book. Hell, you do the course and book. I'll promote your stuff. And I'll promote the hell out of it if you do one of those affiliate links or something like that. I will promote the ever living shit. Every time I talk to people, I'll promote it. You know, shit, I'd promote it for free. There's a couple people, I just like them. I like their stuff, so I'm just promoting it for free. But yeah, if I do need some professionals. So this is a good opportunity for me to say, look, if you happen to be a cloud expert, if you happen to be AWS expert, if you happen to be CMMC certified or an expert, if you happen to be in Sarbanes-Oxley, if you happen to be whatever the framework, if it's GRC related, hell, if it's cybersecurity related, if you want to collaborate, let's just talk about it first. Let's see what we can come up with. I will promote the shit out of whatever you have. Even if you have something right now, if you have a code to give me, let me look at your course. And if I like it, if I think it brings value, I will promote the shit out of it. I've got thousands of people who watch these videos across multiple platforms. I do this to help people to escape the rat race. That's why I do this. That's why you see me giving free stuff away. That's why you see me doing this on time, my time off. My life is good. I'm blessed, right? I'm in a position where I never thought that I would be. I mean, meager as it is, I only have 15,000 followers on YouTube and 10,000 followers on TikTok and 10,000 people on my newsletter or whatever. But I'm just telling you, I feel blessed. I'm in a position where I can help a lot of people. People listen to me. I want to put you on too if you're interested. But, I found like a lot of people aren't really interested in doing it. I've been promoting it for years and I don't have many takers. But if you happen to be serious about this, I will put you on. I will promote your channel. I will help you develop. I will, whatever it takes, because I'm here to help people. Rookie, thank you for that $10, man. I appreciate you. Their promotion every week, man. I really, really appreciate your help and support. Let me see if I can find more questions from you guys. More comments. Okay, I think I already read this one. Let me see here. Larry says the translation part comes into play when explaining continuous monitoring results to execs, as it sometimes leads to cancellation of contracts. And he's referring to his previous comment saying that we implemented a continuous monitoring work as a supply chain threat detection program, and it focused heavily on monitoring results of threat detection and reporting anomalies. And then he went on to say the translation part comes into play, explaining continuous monitoring results to execs, as it sometimes leads to cancellation of contracts. The impact, and I'll piggyback on what he just said. So first, let me translate what he said. So you'll have different supply chain threat detection programs. So supply chain, meaning when you have another vendor or service, you have a third-party organization that you're using. For example, you might use a third party such as CrowdStrike, and you have a contract with CrowdStrike, which is they do malicious malware detection, APT detection, anomaly detection, stuff like that. And it's a little agent that sits in your environment on your systems, and then it kind of reports back what it sees. And then, so monitoring the supply chain means monitoring the actual whatever vendor you're using. You're not only you're looking at of course, using their product, but you're also watching how they are protecting your projects, how they are continuously keeping up with their product to you, their service to you. So monitoring what they're doing, how they're doing it, having a TAM or a technical expert that you can call at any time and say, okay, what's going on? This system is down. What are you doing here? So that's supply. That's an example of supply chain. One of the things that comes with continuous monitoring is as you're looking at the data that's coming through, it'll give you a really good understanding of the impacts to your organization. If you have a tool that doesn't do that effectively, one of the things that I've noticed in the environments I've worked in is if we'll have one tool that's giving us it's telling us, oh, you have 15 criticals in your environment. And then we get another tool and it's saying you have 100 criticals in your environment. You're like, what the hell? What's going on? And so you got to figure out which one most closely matches what's really the real picture of your organization. And so you might, if one is not doing that effectively, you got to get rid of it. And so that data is super important. Like the impact, the picture it's taking, it's like taking a snapshot of your real security posture, what's going on actually. Because sometimes, like when you're looking at this flood of information coming in, it's hard to get a really good picture of how secure you really are, right? It's not enough to, even if you think you're secure and you haven't been hacked in a while, you assume, oh, we're good. We haven't. That's a poor indication of of your security posture, because it could just be that you haven't been attacked yet. It could just be you don't even know that you're being attacked and you are being attacked, right? So the data is really important. The vendor and the tools and stuff that you use are really important. That's why it has to continuously evolve, because if you slip, they catch you slipping, it's going to be over. It's going to be over. So Professor Black Ops says, get you a new email. You can have a lab on AWS for free for a year. Oh, yeah. So this is great. So Professor Black Ops is an AWS professional, and I started doing AWS myself, just learning from his guidance. And then he told me, hey, take this certification. So I did. I went out, started studying AWS. And one of the things that they do for AWS, I believe Azure as well, is they'll give you free access for 1 year. For 1 year, you get email. What it's attached to your email is what he's saying. So you get an email, and attached to that email, that profile you make, you have 1 year of access to mess around. Like, it's not going to really give you a production level quality, as in you can't scale up and scale down a whole bunch of servers and VMs at once. And there's certain tools you can't really use, but you'll have enough to learn. So you can actually have a free environment where you can set up these limited instances and limited containers and mess around with AWS cloud virtual machines enough to like learn it and mess around with it, shut them down, open them up, set things up. And that's for free for 1 year. And I think Azure does something similar, and I think Google does too. All right, let me see here. Let me see if I got more comments on TikTok. I'm not ignoring you guys. I just got a lot of people jumping in. So, and that's a good thing. That's a positive thing for this community. Let me see here. Sorting through all the questions here. Okay, I get this question at least 3 times a week. Remy says, please, as a beginner in cybersecurity, where can I start from? Number one, you want to start from wherever you happen to be. If you happen to be a worker, see if you can get into the IT department at that job you happen to be at. If you are in a specific industry, some industries lend themselves to you immediately being very valuable. Retail has always has an IT department if you're in a big chain. Like if you're in Walmart, try to get in that IT department. If you're in McDonald's, try to get in that IT department. I know it sounds funny, but they have some of the most elite applications and tools and skill sets in the world, because they're multi-billion-dollar companies, international multi-billion-dollar companies, right? So wherever you have a student, if you're a student, try to get on to the IT department at the school in the district. If you are, I don't know, name something. If you have a job, try to make a lateral change. I'm telling you to do this because that's what I did. I was in the Air Force as a grunt. That means I was a weapons specialist. My mission was to kill people and break things. And then I transitioned, I made a lateral change into communications, which was computers, help desk. And I did that for a few years. So you can make a lateral change into another field. And so that's what I'm encouraging you to do. Now, if you have no job, you have no experience, you're a high school student coming right out of high school. Actually, some high schools have programs where they'll teach you on the job training and can give you CompTIA A+. I know this because my kids go to a school that did that. If you don't have any of that, you got to start off, no matter where you are, you need to learn the basics of IT before you get into cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a specialization of IT. The more you understand IT, the better your understanding of cybersecurity will be. Start off, if you're starting from scratch, this goes for everybody starting from scratch, okay? If you don't have no IT background, you need to get an IT background and get that IT knowledge right now. If you're really interested in what I'm telling you, GRC stuff, yes, you're not going to be doing hands-on. You're not going to be engineering SIEM devices from scratch, or you're not going to be architecting cloud systems or something like that. But listen, you got to start. All of those guys, all those architects and those engineers and all those, myself included, we started off knowing nothing. All of us start from the same place. You got to start off with basic information technology, because cybersecurity is a subsection of information technology. Start off with networking, start off with help desk, start off with learning. I always tell people to start where I started, which was the A+ certification. The reason why I say that is because it gave me, after I did it, I understood the language of IT. I understood RAM, storage, and compute, and then how all those things work together. And then when people start talking about it, I was like, oh, that's how it works. I knew, like, it was like a light bulb went off. So if you know nothing, if you know absolutely coming in from zero, that's one place you can start. You start off for free. Go on YouTube. There's tons of people who teach for 4 hours straight, nothing but A+, nothing but basic information technology. Start there. If you're already an IT person, you've been doing this 3 years, 4 years, whatever, 1 year, 6 months, and you're already an IT professional, you don't need the A+ certification. Okay. Go straight to the Security Plus or something like that. That's going to teach you best security practices and the landscape of the language and the common body of knowledge of cybersecurity. That's your next step if you're already an IT professional. Because now you can then specialize in cybersecurity and get into GRC and start doing things like cloud and things like, if you want to go deep on SIEMs or you want to go deep on firewalls, now's your time to do that if you're already an IT professional. Okay, let me see other questions on here. This is just my 2 cents, guys. I'm just telling you what I would do if I were you, if I was given your situation, knowing what I know now, having made all the mistakes that I made and getting flashy object syndrome for years and years. Now I know better. Okay, so somebody said, hi, I'm on here new, found you on Instagram, trying to get into cybersecurity GRC with no technical background. Okay, yeah, so this goes right into what I was saying before, which is you need to start off with IT, basic IT. Basic IT, get excited about basic IT, because that's going to lay the groundwork for you to get into cybersecurity and specialize in cybersecurity. You need to get the common body of knowledge of IT, information technology, first. Learn how computers work, learn how networks work, learn how this stuff works. Get excited about it. Set up labs in your house. Hell, AWS they make it so that you can start off with no IT background, but you will have to, they'll be talking about virtual private cloud, and it gets in the weeds on networking. So you're going to have to know about networking to understand what a subnetwork is. A subnet is. So you still have to know basic IT, even if you get straight into something like an AWS CCP. All right, let me see. One more question from what time are your lives? So most of my lives, real quick here, before I go back to YouTube, most of my lives are at 12 Mountain Standard Time. So that's 2 hours earlier in the East and 2 hours later on Pacific Time on Saturdays. I'm going to do more once I have my community set up. I'll do more per week for special cases. All right, let me see here. More questions. Thank you guys so much for that donation. Really, really appreciate you. That's what makes me keep doing this, is you guys' support, you guys' attention. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Thanks for reminding me, Larry. Charles Leslie says, which order should I go for? Which order of search should I go to first? CISA, CRISC, CGRC, or CISSP? I would say it depends on where you're at in your career. If you're a beginner meaning like you have 3 years or less, I wouldn't do CISSP just yet. You could probably do of these 4, the one you can do within a 3-year period, I believe, is CGRC or CRISC. I think the CISA and CISSP both have like 5-year. You're supposed to be in the career field for like 5 years. There's a way around it. But there is like a few years minimum. Let me see. I don't remember what it is for CISA, but CISP is supposed to have been in the field for 5 years, and you got to get an endorsement letter from somebody who already is a CISP. So let me see. ISOC. I'm looking it up right now. ISOC, because I don't remember off the top of my head. Requirements. I'll show my screen here to you guys. ISOC requirements. I believe there's like a yearly requirement. 5 years. Look at this. 5 years in IS, audit, control, assurance. Yeah. So CISA and CISSP are professional level certs, and they're expecting you to come in with a good, solid cybersecurity background. And the questions on CISSP are hella hard because they're all situational, comprehensive type tests. So which one? If let's say you have 5 years, ideally in an ideal situation, as Key and Peele would say, CISSP is going to be the go-to one. Don't stop for anything else. If you're already in a place, if you've been doing this for 5 years, just go straight for the CISSP. There's no question about it. The impact of just that one cert is crazy. It's broken. It's absolutely brilliant. You know, in a video game, you play a certain character and they're so strong and they just beat everybody. It doesn't even make any sense. They're breaking all the rules, right? How is this? And you're thinking, how is this possible? How is this MF so strong? That's the CISSP. Like, pun intended, Trump. He's overpowered. He's an overpowered character. So, or Michael Jordan. Like, why are they so strong? Why do people follow this guy? Now I can see why people follow Jordan. Jordan's dope, but there's just certain things that are broke. Like, why is it so powerful? That's the CISSP. It's just, it don't even make any sense. I don't think it'll last. Like, at some point, something has to dethrone it, but it's still powerful. It's still strong as hell. So there's no question. Like, out of these 3, the only close second, then not even close second, is CISA. Let me just demonstrate. I'm not lying to you. I have a CISSP and I have the CGRC, and I'm telling you it's broken. I'm going to go to Indeed.com. Let me see if it'll allow me to search. Yeah, here we go. So I'm just going to type in some certs. We'll start off with something simple like Security Plus. We're going to type in CompTIA Security Plus. I've done this several times before, but I just want to, I'm trying to make a point. So look how many jobs there are for Security Plus. That's pretty good. Security Plus is also a very powerful and well-known cert, but it's not a professional level cert. Now let's look at CRISC. I'm just trying to make a point. How many jobs are there for C-risk? Let's do a search. 600 jobs. 600 people in the last 30 days are looking for 600 organizations are looking for the C-risk. That's not bad. That's not bad. I know it doesn't sound great, but that's actually not bad. Look at the jobs: 122,000, 170,000, 117, 100. Like, okay, you get the idea. It's not a bad cert. Now let's look at CISA. CISA. Watch this. 4,000 jobs, high-level jobs are looking for CISA. CISA is no joke. A couple of my bosses have had a CISA. I do not have a CISA. It's no joke. It's a dope certification. It's up there. Now let's look at the CISSP. It's completely broken, man. I mean, the thing is, I can vouch for this. Whatever number here is true. This is true. 9,000 organizations are looking for somebody with a CISSP. It's completely broken. It's still completely broken. It's been years. I got this thing like 20 years ago. I still get jobs. It doesn't make sense. Make it make sense to me. And then you meet a CISSP, and it's not like they're God. They don't know anything more than anybody else. All right. Anyway, let's get back to it. So yeah, my answer would be get the CISSP. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go take it as many times as you have to, because it's worth it. It's worth whatever money you spend to get that damn cert. And then he says, do you have any advice on a roadmap specializing in data privacy? Where should I focus my energy as I want to pursue data privacy and protection as my specialty? I would say for data privacy, you really just want to get the same certs that are cybersecurity certs. I mean, it's just going to give you that much more credibility. With a Security Plus, for example, it covers privacy. It's a part of that curriculum is privacy. They will cover that. There are privacy certifications. All right. There's privacy. I'm sure there's degrees that focus on it and all that kind of stuff. But thing is, the most popular certifications are the ones that HR departments and recruiters know about. I'm just being real with you. So if you get the Security Plus and you work in the field of data security, of privacy and cybersecurity in general, with privacy there, it's going to get you more opportunities than if you were to just focus on just one thing. That said, there are privacy certifications that you can take, and I'm just off the top of my head, I don't know. Let me see. Privacy certifications. There's one I'm thinking of that you could do. Okay, let me see. Give me a second here, guys. My TikTok live is screaming at me here. Okay, there we go. All right. So right now I'm looking at, let me show you my screen here. I'm looking for different privacy certifications. Yeah, here's the one I was thinking of. It's called Certified Information Privacy Professional. This is the one I see a lot of. If you go to LinkedIn and you type in privacy, let me show you so you know I'm not a liar here. I'm going to go to LinkedIn. This is my real LinkedIn profile. It's going to pop up here. There we go. It's this is real deal, guys. This is what I'm using to get jobs and stuff like that. So if you want to link up with me, feel free. But watch this. I'm going to type in privacy professional. If I can spell professionals. I'm a professional. Can't even spell professional. It's crazy. All right. So watch this. Now, if I look for people, watch this. People, you're going to see people with the certifications you want to get. And take notice of what they put inside of their profile. Right here, Melissa says healthcare, compliance, ethics, privacy, right on top right? And then I guarantee you should put privacy somewhere in here. Compliance, and then about me, compliance, federal privacy. See how she's using it over and over again throughout her profile. And then in here again, privacy specialist, compliance and privacy officer, privacy. Now, what kind, you got to ask yourself, what kinds of things, certifications does this person have? And then at the top, I believe she says it somewhere in here. Doesn't even look like she's super strong on the technical side of the house, just privacy law and stuff like that, which is equally badass, to be honest with you. I don't see any certifications here. I don't see any because she's not like super technical. That's why. So I don't see any technical background. But yeah, privacy is a good one to go into. This is a great example of how you need to put privacy throughout your profile. But let me look at more people here. Let's look for a more technical oh, this person's uber technical. This might be too much a little bit. This right here is crazy. It's a PhD, elemental P. Yeah, so this is giving you an idea of the kinds of privacy stuff you want to have in your profile. Profile these days is probably more important than your resume because everybody's going to see this. They're going to see your presence. Let's look at this next badass person. And she is, wow, what the hell? She works in TikTok? Wow. She's a little overpowered, I think. Let's go to the next person. Last one. We'll just look at this last one before I end your question here. This guy is a privacy expert, and what I'm doing is looking for what kinds of certs they have. I'm seeing that a lot of them don't have, some of them don't have certs. Like they're not. So cert for privacy probably doesn't even look like they have a lot of experience though in privacy. Anyway, so just to answer your question, the certs that I see often on resumes is this one right here. As far as privacy is concerned, certified information privacy professional is one I've seen before. These others I just haven't personally, I'm not familiar with them. This one though, this one I've seen around, and especially in the federal space, I've seen it. So yeah, that's, other than that, I would say just get a Security Plus or a CISSP or something like that. That will help you out. Okay, let me see. Other questions, comments? Yeah, Larry chimes in. He says, I've been seeing the CIPP more and more as well. Yeah, that's the one I keep seeing every now and then. Professor Black Ops chimed in. He says the CIPP privacy cert is on my list. Okay, so he's got a privacy cert. So that's the one I've been seeing. So that's the one that if you want to just focus on privacy, that would be the one that I would say would be one that would be worth your time to look at. Let me go back to TikTok here, see if there's any more questions. Get a lot of love on TikTok. Appreciate you guys. Got like 18, 20 people following and watching. I'm not ignoring you guys' questions, so I'm just kind of going down the list of all the comments and stuff and conversations that are going through. Let me see here. Somebody found me on. Okay, here we go. What time are your lives? Okay, here's a question right here. See if I can answer this one. I am at Allied Universal as a guard, and the job title is a SOC operator. Can I use this and Security Plus? Yeah, I think you could. What I would do if I were you, 5N MBA, is first of all, I'd get smart on the IT background. Like you need to get smarter on, you got to get your background on IT solid. That means do labs. You can do like AWS is free, like messing around with that. get a solid IT background, and then when you put SOC operator on your resume, I mean that's diabolical, but I mean that was the name of the position, so you could. I know what you're saying here, but yeah, you could use that. I would, and then I would get super smart. I would sharpen my skills on common tools like Splunk. You can download it for free on your local computer. Start messing around with it and learn Splunk language, SPL. You could download Tenable Nessus on your personal computer and get smart on how scanners work. You could get do Security Plus. You can get that, and then just get hella smart on networking, hella smart on computers, all kinds of stuff. Like that's what, if I were you, that's what I would do, because they're gonna pay way more. And straight up cyber and information technology it's going to pay you way more. Now that said, once you do get your foot in the door, don't be too picky. Like you probably want to, if you've never worked in the actual IT space, the first thing you get is going to be your first step. Just remember that they may not pay you a whole bunch on the first one, but you're using that as a stepping stone. Let's say you get in and they're paying you first job $25 an hour, right? But it's an IT professional at you're going to be setting up networks around town or something, and it's local. That first job is going to expose you to things like networking protocols. It's going to expose you to different mediums for networking and troubleshooting techniques and all that kind of stuff. And then you'll be able to put that on your resume. It's a stepping stone. You keep that job for 6 months to a year, go to your next job. They're going to pay you double, because now you have a year of experience. You have you are a SOC operator. You have a Security Plus. You see what I'm doing? Like that's how you work it, right? I'm not telling you to lie on your resume. That's not what I'm telling you to do. You know. Let me see. And he goes on to say, but basically, I'm a security guard doing patrols, and in a SOC environment. I'd just be truthful with it, to be honest with you. I mean, listen, I started as a security guard myself in the Air Force. I know, I mean, it sounds crazy, but that's the truth. I'm telling y'all the truth. Like I was a security guard. We're called, when I was in, it was called security police. They transitioned it to security forces. If you were in the Air Force, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I was an MP, military police. Everybody knows what that is. I was the Air Force equivalent of an MP, and that's what I did. And I'm not going to sit here and talk shit about the MPs or SPs or whatever. It's a hard ass job. Some of the most badass heroes I've ever met, the smartest, most incredible people and mentors that I met were in the Air Force as security police and security forces. And I met a whole bunch of Marines and Army MPs, and hella respect, because it's a hard job where people eat their own. I was a security guard. For the better part of my U.S. military career, I protected planes with an M16. And I wanted to do something else. I loved IT, like I love computers, and I was obsessed with it. And so on my own time, I would study computers. I was wanting to be a programmer. So I was learning BASIC. This is showing you how old I am. BASIC is what I was learning. I was obsessed with BASIC, the programming language called BASIC. It made sense to me. And that's what I wanted to do. So in my own time, I would study BASIC. I'd learn computers. I'd learn networking. As I learned more about networking, I got obsessed with that. I just kind of went from one thing to another. And I was like, I want to do this I met people in the Air Force who were doing IT work. They were doing my dream job. And then I cross-trained into that career field. And then I did that. And I security, the A+ certification was the first certification I got. One of the first certifications, I went to some boot camp that was paid for by the Air Force, and they got us all these different certifications. And I just learned as much as I could. And that opened up so many doors for me, because I just got hungrier to learn more. And so that's the mentality you have to have, because this is not for everybody. I'll tell you that right now. This right here, it's got a huge learning curve, But if I can do it, you can do it. I am a high school dropout. I'm a former security police officer who guard planes with M16, a weapons specialist. If I can do it, you can do it too, right? It doesn't take doesn't take rocket surgery, as my old boss used to say. To do this, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay. Let me see. I got some more questions and comments here. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for all your support. I appreciate you. Okay. Money Life Business says, how would this work with cloud certifications? How would this work with cloud certifications? I need more context to your question. How would what work? I imagine that you're talking about GRC. How would it work with cloud certifications? Do you have cloud certifications? Give me more context to your question, and I can answer it more effectively. Because otherwise, I'm just going to assume it, and then I'm not going to answer what the intent of your question was going to be. Money Life Business. Just give me a little bit more context. I'll come back to you. Meantime, let me go back to TikTok and answer some more questions here on TikTok. Let me see here. More questions on TikTok. Somebody said, you are an SP. I'm an Air Force veteran. Yep, I was an SP. I was an SP for security forces. I did it for, oh man, how many years? About 4 years. And then I cross-trained into comm. We call it, I don't know what they call it these days, but I was 3POX1 security police that transferred to security forces, where we start doing law enforcement. It's a hard job, really hard job. Your customers hate you. They eat their own. It's just a brutally physical job in some cases. It's very stressful. And then I cross-trained into 3COX1, which was computer operator at the time. And basically we did help desk, we did networking, we did they kind of had us do everything at the time. I don't know what they do these days. It's maybe it's different. I'd heard that they changed it to 3D something, or I don't know what they're doing now, but it was really good. Like, I learned so many things. It was really awesome. I was a 3CO51. Oh, okay. So we pretty much did the same job. Yeah, that's it. I was a computer operator. What are they doing these days? I'm now a certified government CIO. Oh, shit. Wow. That's awesome. Congrats. Yeah, I did. I was a 3CO 51 or X1. I say X because I don't remember it was a 5 or 331, whatever it was. I did it so long ago. I'm sure it's so different now. Somebody said, I am a private security officer and just got a degree in IT, need guidance in GRC. So, Kobe, what I would do, sir, is focus on getting your hands dirty and your feet wet. That means get hands-on experience. That's what you need to do. Focus on hands-on experience. The GRC stuff will come. I'm just being honest with you. You know, what's special about GRC is you don't have to be super deep in one thing. And I give you an example. In cybersecurity, there's many different branches. You've got everything from crypto analysts who analyze cryptography. That's a part of cybersecurity. It's a branch, not associated with it, but it's a part of it. You've got, what is another part? You got network engineers who specialize in security. They specialize in internet working devices, switches, routers, routing protocols, and securing infrastructure, the network. And so they're really smart on that. You've got firewall administrators, and that's their focus. You've got application security specialists. They focus on securing source code or applications, web apps, finding vulnerabilities, removing vulnerabilities. You've got vulnerability management. You've got CTI, cyber threat intelligence. You've got I've got exposure to some of this stuff. You've got cyber security analysts, or also known as SOC analysts, who analyze network traffic and is part of the detect function of NIST CSF. You've got all these different branches. What's special about GRC? Haven't done it for many years, and been on the outside and the inside of it. What's special about it is it doesn't go super deep in one technology, unlike some of the ones that I just mentioned. If you're in crypto analyst, you got to know hella math, hella math proofs. Not many people have that mindset to do that. There's not too many people who are super that smart and that disciplined to do that level of mental computation for mathematics, to do math proofs and stuff like that. Most of those guys are hired by the NSA. If you're what else did I mention? If you are a firewall guy, you're gonna have to go hella deep on one vendor's product for firewall. Normally, a firewall system admin is really good at one firewall type and in one product, meaning they will be super good at Palo Alto firewalls, and that's their main thing. They could do other ones, but that's their main one that they specialize in. They have all the certs in it. I went to all the classes on it. That's the one they know. There's hella deep on that one thing. Network engineers, they're hella deep on typically, again, one vendor. Like you'll have a guy who's really sharp on Cisco internet working devices or Juniper internet working devices, who knows security really well on that one thing. And then even if you are an AppSec person, they're are going to be super good in one or two, maybe three languages and one tool that sorts through, say, web applications or whatever. And they can do other things, but their specialty is a C+ using this tool that goes through. So you kind of get the idea. They're super deep on that one thing. GRC is special in that you are not really deep. You don't have to be deep. There are people who are deep on one or two things, but you don't have to be. What you need to have is a really solid IT background. You need a really solid IT background. You need to understand how networking works, how different operating systems, how they work. Maybe have some command line, log some time into the command line. You don't have to know programming, but it's good to know types of program, how they work, interpretive languages versus scripts or whatever, things like that. You need to know what a vulnerability is. And for that, you have to understand computers. But I'm not super deep on any one thing. You don't have to be super deep on any one thing. That's what's special about GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. That said, that's a very broad term because G is govern, R is risk management, and C is compliance. Those are three separate jobs. You could have three separate jobs on just those three terms. Governance, a good example of governance would be a CIO, an IT manager, a security manager, a project manager. Those are mostly governance type jobs. And there's many other examples, and there's some overlap between these ones I'm about to name. Risk management is mostly audit IT professionals, security control assessors, validators. You get the idea. People who scan the network, come into your network, say, okay, this is what we found. Pen testers, that's another one. Software evaluators. Those are all risk management type jobs where you're cybersecurity consultant. That's one I did. They're looking at the risk of your network. Another one that you could probably put in that same pool would be SOC analysts, because that's what they're doing. They're looking at the risk. They're watching for the risks in your network. So you could technically put them in that same pool. Compliance is what people mostly think of when they think of GRC. Compliance is knowing NIST CSF, NIST 800, PCI DSS, or HIPAA, or Sarbanes-Oxley, or whatever, right? There's a whole bunch of them. COBITS, ISO 27001, GDPR. There's literally thousands of them. And they all serve different industries, different countries, different provinces, all kinds of stuff. GRC is a very broad term. What's special is that all of us have exposure to it, unlike pen testing. Like pen testing's dope. I did it before. I've messed around and dabbled with it. It's fun. It's so fun. But most people have not hacked anything. They've been hacked, but they've not used hacking tools and try to exploit a vulnerability. GRC, all of us have exposure. If you've ever used a credit card, you've been a part of GRC. Because PCI DSS had to encrypt your data and put it somewhere. If you have had a job before, you had to read the policy. If you've ever done a user agreement, the user agreement has some of the policy of the organization inside of it. And you're supposed to read it and be like, okay, I'm not going to. Most people don't. They just sign off. Okay, here you go. I'll do whatever you guys say. But that is part of GRC, because what you're doing is the organization is governing how people are going to behave on their network by being compliant with PCI DSS if you're in retail, with HIPAA if you're in healthcare sector, with FISMA and NIST 800 if you're in the federal sector. So you've had exposure to it. So that's what's special about it, is all of us have exposure to it, and it doesn't go super deep in one thing, technically speaking. All right, let me see here. More questions. I know I went way off. Probably lost some people in this while I was talking here, but let me go some more questions, more comments here on TikTok. I'm going to shut this thing down. I think I've been talking for about 2 hours now. So I'm about to call it quits here in a second, but I'll answer a few more questions. Help desk is always a great starting ground. I agree. Help desk is an incredible place to start. At church to help with their software and hardware. That's a great place to start. Volunteering is an awesome place to start. If you're starting from scratch, you want to get your hands dirty, it's an awesome place to start, is at your church, at your place of worship, at your any kind of community place that you go to, where they need help all the time, where you can volunteer time. You can put that time that you spent on your resume, on your profile, saying you helped set up this or that network, you help set up this or that Wi-Fi access point, you help them secure it, whatever. At your school, at your job, all kinds of places that you can actually get started. Start where you are. So somebody said NIST for IA governance has been released. What is your thoughts about it? So NIST has an IA breakdown. And to be honest with you, it's pretty generic. It covers a lot of ground. I kind of skimmed through it as I've been trying to learn it myself. I'm right now in real time learning all this stuff. It's growing. So AI is growing so fast that, I mean, literally every week there's some kind of crazy breakthrough that's changing everything. And I'm just thinking there's going to have to be some kind of collaboration between governments, different governments, and the technology, the actual frontier model creators, to come up with a way to regulate it. Because make no mistake, there are going to have to be regulations, because as this thing does things like regulate our gas or regulate crops or be a part of your doctor's process, you're going to want your sensitive information to still remain protected. You're going to want models that don't hallucinate, and then the doctor just takes those hallucinations and run with it and then do some operations on you, or come up with some medication based off of hallucination. There's going to have to be regulation. So people are saying, there's these naysayers, like one of the things that what's going on in the US is this anti-regulation, you name it, right? It's all this political nonsense, this bullshit that has nothing to do with real world stuff. They are living in their own world. And one of the things is them trying to stop regulations is absolutely crazy. And the thing is, they don't want to stop all regulations. They want to stop regulations that stop them from making more money. because they want regulations that help them get money. It's mind blowing. And the fact that Americans are allowing this to happen is like, am I in the wrong country? What's happening here? I'm not understanding this. And AI is a really good example of this. They're saying, okay, we're not gonna regulate AI. We're just gonna let it run free. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? What about when AI, when we have AI working in the medical field, which they're already doing, by the way? When we have AI helping us to create materials that are going to build our new skyscrapers. I'm not saying don't have AI. I'm not saying that there's not a problem with us running a race against all these other countries or whatever. We want our companies to be competitive and stuff. I'm not saying that don't, I'm saying that if we put it in places where our lives are at stake, which they're going to do on weapon systems or whatever, which they're going to do, there needs to be regulations. And at some point, unfortunately, with regulation, bad things, horrible things have to happen for us to regulate it. And it seems like that's the direction we're going, because people put money first. People put money before people. And as a person who's in cybersecurity, I see it happen over and over again, where organizations, for example, won't spend any money. For many years, I started in early 2000s doing IT. They won't do anything until we get hacked. They will. It's not even on their minds until something absolutely gets owned. And then they're so embarrassed. They're like, okay, well, it's not my fault. We need regulations in place. Right. And it's kind of frustrating, because as a cybersecurity person, you're seeing it happen and you're like, you're telling people, hey, we probably need this. And then they're not listening. And then something bad happens. And then that's when they want to listen to you. And that's what I'm seeing happen with AI. So to answer your question, I see that they're trying to do something with AI regulations, which is good. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just, it's not enough, as Kendrick Lamar would say. Not enough. Johnny Boy says, as someone who has no idea where to start, what do I need to start? What courses can you recommend? I would recommend going on, if you're in this boat, I would recommend don't pay any money. Right now, go on YouTube, watch some free courses, watch as much free stuff as you can to see if you even want to be in this field, because it's not for everybody. It takes a large amount of patience, and a large amount of wanting to put the work in, because there's a big learning curve. It's not for everybody. Start with free resources that are all over the web. Start from there. And then if you're still interested after watching like 30, 40 hours of free stuff, then start investing in yourself. Go to Coursera, and then you don't have to spend that much money. Start doing courses for low amounts of money. Maybe go for an A+ certification if you're still trying to learn. Get your hands dirty. Start working with the current network that you have. You have to buy new systems. If you already have a network at your house, use that. Somebody said, what do you suggest for a director of operations and security that does not include IT? So you're a director of operations and security that does not include IT. So if I was a director and I was in director of operations, and I had an IT department that I work with, but I just don't know anything about it, I would do the same thing. Start with the basics. Learn the basics. What are the basics? Now, your next question should be, well, what are the basics, Bruce? That should be your next question. So here's the basics. Let me show you on my screen. It'd be better. I can, off the top of my head, can tell you a few, but it'd be better if I just show you. CompTIA A+ has a great curriculum. Why I use it is because it was my first deep exposure to IT. And their curriculum is awesome. The way they break it down. And you can watch this stuff for free on YouTube right now. Because like I said, it's not for everybody. I would start here. What you need to learn is what they have here. Hardware, networking, mobile devices, operating systems, troubleshooting, virtualization and cloud computing, software troubleshooting, security, operational procedures. If you learn these things, if you read through these books, if you go through this curriculum right here, and actually let me show my screen on YouTube. Sorry about that, guys. Go through this again. I'm not trying to leave you guys out. I forget to show my screen sometimes. Okay. So right now I'm at CompTIA A+ website. And what I'm trying to say here is this curriculum right here, if you get to know, if you're brand new at this, and listen, I got nothing to gain by brand new people. You guys are not my audience. Okay. Let me just tell, I'm not trying to make people leave, but I don't have nothing. I'm not selling you anything because I don't have nothing to sell you. On my site, there's a free course with free shit for people who don't know, who are brand new to this. I don't have nothing to gain by telling you this, but let me just tell you, A+ certification is where I first got my start, and it'll teach you the lingo and the landscape of IT, basic IT, hardware, networking, mobile devices, operating systems. that's Windows, Mac, Linux, stuff like that. Troubleshooting. What's the difference between those operating systems? How do you troubleshoot real world devices? Basic stuff. Virtualization and cloud computing. Really important these days because everybody uses it. Software troubleshooting, security, operational procedures. These are the things that it's going to teach you. Another thing you can do is do this. You can go straight on to your favorite AI and have it teach you. You can just say, teach me the basics of computer tech. Use CompTIA A+, and then watch what it does. Look at this. This is ChatGPT, and it's telling you, okay, examples with CPU versus RAM versus hard drive, motherboards, power supply, operating systems, to break all this stuff down. Once you start learning the basics, what'll happen is you want to go deeper, right? If you start learning about, let's say, these things right here, the next step will be you probably want to go to YouTube and talk and listen to a professional who's going to talk about this and how you use these things. Because it's one thing to list these things. It's a whole nother thing to tell you how it works, or to take a computer apart and put it back together again. So this is a good start. This is a good extra tool for you. But if you get this certification right here, if you learn enough to know this certification, you officially know basic IT, and you can move on to the next level. So if I was a director, if I was starting off new, I would start right here, because this is where I started when I first started, and it was an eye opener. It made it so that I knew and understood the language of information technology. It's something I've been building off of for years. And this is not for, if you're trying to get in GRC and you're already an IT professional, this is a waste of your time. You already know this stuff. You know what you need to know. Like, if you need to sharpen your tools on cloud, you probably need to go straight to AWS and start learning that. If you're trying to be a SOC analyst, you already know this stuff. This stuff is all old news to you. You don't need to waste your time with an A+. If you're already in IT, then yeah, I'm not talking to you for this. You know what I'm saying? Gotta get some people saying, oh, well, why are you telling them to learn A+? And I'm telling new people to learn A+, because that's where I started. I'm just being honest with people. I have nothing to gain by telling you that. I'm not currently selling any. I mean, I do have some stuff. If you want to go buy the cybersecurity fundamentals book, I mean, you could if you wanted to, but Okay. Who else do we have here? Let me see. Who else? What else? What other questions do we have? I was trying to speed run through some of these questions here. and answer some more questions. What am I doing? Go back to, yeah, here we go. Somebody said, my question is, what is your take on CISSP, the CISM, and the CISA versus MSC cybersecurity? My take is get the CISSP. Out of all the things you just said, the only thing that makes sense to get is the CISSP, and then all the rest you can get them whenever the hell you want. That's my take on it. I'm biased. I have one, and it's served me well in the last 20 years. Get it. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Get it right now, immediately. Stop everything you're doing and get it if you're thinking about it. If you have at least 4 years, I would say shit. If you had 3 years of solid IT experience, go ahead and go for it. Because you can get away with, you're supposed to have 5 years of experience, but I believe you can, there's a way you can, with 3 years experience, you can still go ahead and get it. What IT certifications would you suggest to someone with a master's degree in health administration? There used to be one from CompTIA, but I've learned that one's about to is gone. There used to be a really, really good one from CompTIA. Now I'm just not sure. I would say probably you just want to get the basic ones everybody else gets, I would say. Which is Security Plus, CISSP, CISA. I would say that. They used to have a really, really good one on ISC2. Used to have a really good one. I don't know if CompTIA has one, to be honest with you, a certification for healthcare sector. That's known by everyone. I'm looking right now. Sometimes they'll have some in here that's specializing in. Let me see. You got Cloud Plus, ITF. CompTIA have any help? They might. Let me see. Security Plus is a good one to get. So if I were you, I'd just stick with with these, because these are mainstays. They're not like some of the fly by night other certifications out there. Let me see. I don't see any. And the thing is, if your healthcare organization uses cloud, hell, AWS might be the best one for you to get. Or if they use Azure, you might want to get one of those. Okay, next question. If you have a bachelor's degree of science in information technology, I have an old 11.0.33.33 330. What is that is very slow. Should I use it to practice Linux? Okay, this is two separate questions. All right. First question is, if you have a BS in IT technology, okay, and then they go on to say, my question is, what is your take? Okay, I think that there's 3 different questions here. Okay, I already answered one of the questions. I'll just move on. Okay, somebody says, I have a old 11.0.330. What is the best? It's slow, and should I load it up with Linux? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Go ahead and load it up with like Ubuntu or Kali Linux, and then learn as much Linux as you can, is what I would say. You can use that as a system that you attack from or attack it. That's what I used to do. I would use virtual machines, and then I would mess around with them. Why you hack my phone and steal my girlfriend's number, bro? Can I have her back? I miss her. I have no idea who this is or what they're talking about. I don't even have those kind of hacking skills. Let me see here. That would be 20. All right. Thank you guys for all your participation on TikTok. I really appreciate it. Let me go back to YouTube real quick. I've got a huge conversational dialogue here. I appreciate everybody's interaction. start with Charles. Leslie says, great idea, checking LinkedIn and Indeed. Very much appreciated. Thank you. Yep, no problem. Indeed is a really good resource to know, to follow other like-minded security professionals. If you're going into the privacy space, or if you're in healthcare, look for other professionals, like-minded professionals, and you'll get an idea of what kinds of things that you should have on your resume and what kinds of things you should be tracking down. That's what I do. Let me see. Larry says, has anyone done any digging on the NIST's work on differential privacy? You know what? I do not have, I don't have exposure to their deeper documentation on privacy. I know that they do have a bunch of privacy documents. They have profiles that you can download. They have a ton of great resources on NIST websites. Great resources for the NIST CSF profiles and stuff like that that pertain to different industries. They have great resources on the special publications. Really, really good stuff there for federal organizations. If you happen to be in the federal space, NIST is a really, really good resource. Larry says, good article, and he points out the differential privacy guarantees. I'll check that out. And then somebody chimed in and said, differential privacy, hypothetically speaking, if one embassy were to communicate with another, both devices would add noise to the message and prevent adversaries from decoding it. Each device would then remove the noise and translate them back into English. That's crazy. That's wild. And I also had to know differential privacy when I studied for the artificial intelligence governance professional certification. Wow, that's awesome, man. This is the direction I'm trying to go right now, with a cloud background, and then build from there into artificial intelligence is kind of the direction I'm thinking of going right now. It's just something I'm really interested in, and I'm trying to expand my own personal portfolio. So in real time, that's what I've been doing, is getting deeper into cloud, knowing the infrastructure of AWS and Azure, and then I'm going to build from there and go deeper into, I want to do AI. It's just really interesting to me. And I just really want to do more with it. So seems like that's the direction everything is going, and I'm trying to be ahead of the game. So that's kind of what I've been doing. All right, I think that's it, guys. I went through most of the questions. I apologize if I missed your question. I somehow have had a lot of people watching me today, which is crazy. It's always crazy to me. Even I get one new person wants to listen to GRC talk for an hour and a half. It's wild to me. I mean, but looking back on it, it's something that I would have done if I was starting. I wish I would have had somebody that I could listen to, so I'm really glad there's more people like Will Reed out there, or who want to chime in, like Ryan, or like Tech Woke. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he's a young dude in Atlanta who's doing his thing, talking about GRC stuff. And of course, Professor Black Ops. It's really good to have all of these different voices and faces that are participating in this discussion and wanting to teach other people. And I'm glad it's become more popular, and really appreciate you guys' participation. Thank you. Thanks, Larry, so much for all your attention, man. Thanks for all your support over the years. And then thanks, security expert. Thank you for chiming in, helping people out. Appreciate you. Professor Black Ops, thanks for chiming in, man. And special shout out to Rookie, man. Thank you for your donation. Appreciate that. Pretty soon here, guys, I'm going to be opening up a community where we can talk on a regular basis and not just do this once a week thing. If you're interested in that, just stay tuned. I'm going to start giving people access to it, and it'll be a place where we can just chop it up, and then I'll put some courses, downloadables, and stuff on there. It's something I'm working on in the background, so just bear with me. It's just taking me a while to do it. I got a full-time job. I really do this. I do this for real. Stuff I'm telling you, I do for real in real life. So I'm gonna get going here. Thanks again, all the people on TikTok. Thank you guys for all your hearts and diamonds and stuff like that. I see you. Hopefully they don't shut TikTok down, because it's been a really great resource. But if you guys on TikTok, if they do shut it down, just remember ConvoCourses is live on YouTube, on Facebook. I'm out there. So, and then on the website, that's probably the best way to keep in contact, is to sign up for the newsletter. And that's where I get free stuff and all kinds of stuff. So, if you're interested in this kind of thing, that's the best way to keep in contact. So we're not dependent on any one social media platform, because these days, who knows how these leaders are moving. We got to stay in contact. We got to do for ourselves more and more, because we can't rely on them, apparently. All right, guys, that's it on TikTok. Talk to you guys next week. And that is it on YouTube. Thank you guys so much once again. And I am out of here. Peace.